Hey guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom Premium. I'm your host Nina.
And I'm Kaylee.
And we are back to discuss Itaewon class. We're going to be talking about episodes 11 and 12. Are you okay?
I went to go take a sip of my soda, but I was like, oh, it's empty, so I put it back down with a pout. I was sad.
I can feel your disappointment. I'll try to make this quick. If you need to take a break to go get beverages, that's fine, because I could use a drink too. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Itaewon class episodes 11 and 12. And guess what, you guys? We just watched them.
We just
like
I went to the bathroom and I came back after we finished, and then we're here.
Right. So this is literally fresh on our minds, and we're doing this because, again, we just want to get ahead on some stuff.
We both have free time.
Yeah. And it's good. Mm-hmm. So,
it's fun to talk about.
Yes. Now, I will say,
I just saw extra
I saw. And then My Name. All these great K-dramas we've covered. So, I will say, though, that when we were watching 12, and it was getting towards the end, I was like, if this episode ends without knowing who won this cooking contest, we're just watching the next one. Everybody keeps telling us we need to podcast this. I've only watched like an episode and a half. Sorry, guys. Our Netflix thing is on.
That's the girl from All of Us Are Dead.
And the girl from Goblin. Little Women.
I wasn't looking at it, but I was looking at the girl in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
That was her?
Yeah. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, the episode did end without telling us who won the cooking contest, and I was like, we're just going to watch the next episode, and podcast people will have to deal that we know what happens when we talk about it. But then I was like, no, that's not fun to listen to.
So we can talk about our predictions.
Yeah, we can talk about our predictions. So, but yeah, we don't know who won.
Money Heist Korea.
There's so much.
There's like so much stuff appeared on the TV, and it's disturbing.
I know, and it's all K-dramas that we've either covered or going to cover or thinking about covering. Or anime. That's my entire Netflix life now. So you ready to talk about these episodes? Wait. What did you think?
I like how Toni's storyline went.
Oh my god. So much happened. Yes. Yeah.
Because it was.
I almost forgot about that. Yeah.
I mean, it's like neither of us could have predicted that. Really, this little Korean woman is.
Nope.
Oh, that's his grandmother.
Nope.
Like, how are you supposed to make that prediction?
Nope. That we only got there the moment like she looked funny at him when he said that his mother was from
Africa.
Yeah, and specifically the country in Africa. Yeah. So that was. Yeah, we were both like, ooh. But before that, no. Although I did think before that there was going to be, like, I hate to say this, but I thought they were going to use her to be the kind of xenophobic, like, someone getting to see that he is Korean outside of just him, like, being kicked out of the club. But, like, a person that he knows and gets to know, like, her confronting how she views him. So, or I just thought they were going to have some sort of friendship. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see this. Yeah,
being related.
No. And that explains why, because I couldn't figure out, like, I don't know. I don't know the exact reasoning for it, but they aged that actress up, we think. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked it up to confirm, but it just looks like, and it's not like in a bad way, like the makeup looks bad.
Like super obvious.
No, it's not super obvious. It's just something youthful about her face. And
I remember thinking that to myself, like, before you even brought it up. And I never said it, but I was like...
And then I just randomly, I think it was one of the hospital scenes, I was like, they aged her up, didn't they? But then, the dad, Jung, also is... And the only reason I know that is because I've seen his picture in IMDb before, because I've seen him in other stuff, I guess. But anyway, So now that makes sense why they would do that. But then I don't know why you just wouldn't hire an older actress. But anyway.
Like, yeah, because I was thinking, it's like what they did in Goblin. But, like...
But they had
there
to
was
do
a
that.
reason.
Yeah.
She appears younger.
Right.
But
so, what else did you like, or are you ready to talk about the details?
I'm a little disappointed in the brother.
Wait.
But I'm still... I don't know.
Oh my god, give me a piece of candy. No, here's the thing. You were like... So, like, partway through, I don't remember where, I turned to you and I was like, do you think he's going to be the villain? Like,
yeah.
And you were like, I don't care. I'm gonna stick by his side because he mine.
I think you even said that, like, before these 2 episodes. You're like, what if he becomes a villain? I'm like, that's fine with me. Because I like him.
I was kind of hoping that he didn't do anything he couldn't come back from. So when the scene happens that we're going to talk about, I was in a big panic. Before you even realized what was going on. Because I was like, I don't know if you can come back from that.
That's like such a terrible thing to do. So.
And of course it's up to her to forgive him for that. But that's one of those like...
It's just like, she don't even know that he was the one who did it. Right. So, like, wait till they find out.
Right. Although, I thought there was something about the way Saeroyi questioned him after when I said, I don't know what just happened here. Remember I said that?
Yeah.
Because he said something like, you asked if she ran away.
Do you think she did something wrong? Like, do
right.
you think this is like her fault or something?
And so...
If you're her friend, you should be cheering for her, basically.
Yeah. So I didn't know, was he like a cute... I don't know.
He said, I'll be sad if you don't, or something like that.
Yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
And the only way, I guess he could find out if he doesn't know already, that Geun-soo is the one who...
This is also I told him. She knows.
I'm so over her. Oh my god. Let's talk about these episodes.
Like, I'm glad she didn't go along with the plan, but I'm still don't like her. Like, she obviously didn't like it.
Her character is so weird to me. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of her scenes are repetitive. I feel like she's had the same scene, obviously with Saeroyi, but even with Geun-soo, like, I feel like there's several scenes of her in the hallway, and then they say something smart, and she thinks she has the last word, and she walks away, and then he says something, she turns back around, and then she, you know, or scenes where they come up with reasons to have her be, which we've talked about before. Sorry, there's a truck going by outside. They come up with reasons for her to be in Danban's business. Yes. But then all she contributes to it is
sitting there
staring, looking stupid. And then he looks over at her and they make eye contact and she looks down or she looks away. That's her whole purpose of being there. Other than, like, she just needs to have this information, I guess. But so anyway, all right, so let's talk about the episode. So Geun-soo quits Tanban. I don't know why it's like so hard for me to remember the name of this fucking place. And I have here in my notes, first of all, I know we just watched these episodes, but this in particular feels like it happened 5 years ago. Because I actually wrote, did he want Saeroyi to say no? Like, did he want him to stay, do you think?
Oh, when he was telling him he was leaving?
Because, yeah, he said he was leaving, and then they went to talk about it on the roof. And when he was like, you know, good luck or whatever, to me, his face looked disappointed. So I was like, did he want him to tell him to stay? So that was my question to you. I don't know how you took that.
I mean, I don't know. I guess. I can't remember what I was thinking. I remember I was thinking something slightly different, but
I just feel like, I don't know. Okay, so then Osua visits, she visits Geun-won. I'm sorry, I had Geun-soo written again. Geun-won. In prison. And
this is like the only scene he gets in these entire 2 episodes.
Well, this is when he calls his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Probably in the next one. But the dad is forcing him to sign over his shares to him.
Mm-hmm. Swoon-worthy? Itaewon Class is listed as swoon-worthy on Netflix.
I don't know who came up with that. And then we learned that Hyunhee is out. Like, they don't even say where.
They say
like, if she's like out of the country.
Yeah, they say she's going to be back in like a week.
Wait, they did talk about, was she out of the country?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they just said that. They didn't say where she was. They just said she's going to be back in like
for another week.
And then we were like, where'd she go? Because they never said.
Right.
Until she came back.
Right. So, I have her listed as the lone lady because we really didn't even know her name. But Miss Kim. She has a run-in with Toni, and he tells her she's mean because there's a dad in the neighborhood that borrowed money from her and can't pay it back. And first she comes and she collects, and she takes the money, and he's saying he doesn't want to pay it because he has to buy food for his kid. And she's like, not my problem. And then she runs into him later, which I won't talk about. But at this point, you know, again, we're like, wow, she really is just walking around lending money to the people in this neighborhood. What's up with that? But honestly, there was one part where I was going to ask you, do you think this is like a thing? So there's this thing, I forget, I don't know what it's called, but different cultures call it different things. And it's like, you have a community of people, like let's say your family, you know, like your cousins or whatever, and you all put in money on a regular basis. And then everybody takes turns having access to the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, if you want to go on a vacation, like, your family is essentially helping you do something. Or if you need to, like, replace your car or something like that. And there's, like, names for it in different... now I have to go tweet about it and ask people to fill me in. But, like, different... Like, my friend Leslie, who's Jamaican, she was saying, like, oh, yeah, we call it this in my culture. There's, like, a long tweet thread about it. And other people, different parts of the world, like that. So, I was wondering if it's something like that in Korea, where there's, like, an elder in the neighborhood who does this, who, like, loans money or something like that. But, I'm sorry I put you guys all through that long thing just to say, it's just interesting to me that there's an old neighborhood loan shark lady. Because usually it's, like, thugs who do this. So, Toni ends up accidentally creating a good dish.
Yes.
Curry powder to this mussel soup that Hyunhee was making. Oh, and I should mention, yes, Hyunhee comes back, and as it turns out, and she's definitely more like feminine presenting.
Yeah, she's wearing
all clothes. Yes, like very.
She has her makeup done.
Female gendered clothes, yes. And I feel like they were making it a point to show off her breasts.
Not in the scene.
Not here, but like throughout the course of these 2 episodes, like we just saw her wearing things that we didn't see. And it could be part of that, but they specifically mentioned surgery. So, you know, you and I were speculating, they don't say specifically what kind of surgery she had, but I did notice that in dressing differently, in a way that, like, I feel like not even you see, like, Osua or, like, I can't remember ever seeing, like, the shape of their boobs or cleavage, but, like, I have distinct, in my mind of these episodes, it felt obvious. So I don't know if that was their way of visually telling us that, you know.
She got top surgery.
Yeah, top surgery.
Probably
I couldn't think of what it was called.
Yeah, it's top surgery and bottom surgery.
Right.
And maybe she also got bottom
surgery. Maybe she also got, but this is, yeah. So they go on that Best Pub cooking show, which is the show. This is the same show they were going to be on before, right?
No idea.
But it is literally a cooking competition show, and I think we talked about that in the last podcast. We were like, what kind of cooking show is it?
Isn't that how the episode started of him on the phone talking to the thing and then talking about him being on the show?
Right.
So I wonder if we go back and paid more attention. It'd probably talk about them being there before or not.
So it is basically like an Iron Chef type thing where it's cooked from different chefs from different restaurants in Korea, or maybe just in Seoul. No, they were like this the whole country. So, and then they have different themes, and they compete with making dishes to fit the theme, and then it's judged and all that. So, they win. Mm-hmm. And the first round. It's a tournament, right? And Jungkook comes in second, and Jung ain't happy. And you and I were like, you have nothing else to focus on in this company. You have
better things to
restaurants, do. You have a food line.
Like you have a whole business.
Why are you so up your feelings over this cooking show? And so Geun-soo gets a lecture because he works there now and he wants to be the heir apparent and all that stuff. Because he was like, we came in second. That's good. And also, I was like, are you new to, life? Like, do you not know this man at all? Why would you say that? So, I'm looking to see what happened. Hold on. Okay, so they get approached by this investor from a place called JM Holdings, and he wants to invest 5 billion won.
Well, he doesn't say 5 billion.
No, he doesn't, but, yeah.
That's what it leads
to. But it's because of the win on the show, he says, right? Mm-hmm. And because of that, I don't know we still don't know how that just got in the news. They literally had a meeting where he proposed it, and then it was online. And it was will Geun-won get 5 million and 5 million won and billion won in funding? And we were like, why is this public knowledge?
Who told people?
But because of that, other people wanted to invest because they were going to franchise. Mm-hmm. And so people who, want to run their own business was like, okay, I'll manage a Fandom in my city or whatever. And this is when we find out that Mrs. Kim is Tony's grandmother. Yes. Because she finds that dude, stumbling home, and he has a bag, and she thinks it's going to be liquor instead of food for his kid, and it turns out it's the, oh my god, I don't want to say charcoal. Yeah, is it charcoal?
That's what you said, so that's what I'm saying.
It's the, oh my god, I think it's charcoal. You burn in those little, in Squid Game, remember Sang-woo in the beginning was in a hotel room and he was burning them in the bathtub. He's going to kill himself. So it's a way people commit suicide. So, that's what he was going to do. And then she's like, you're selfish. And they start tussling. And then he goes rolling down this hill.
The street.
Oh my god. And the scene cuts to the Damban crew.
We never see her stop rolling.
No. It just cuts to them walking down the street. And I'm like, is she just going to roll into dunk like a barrel in Donkey Kong? Close. Because they see her in the street. And so anyway, it turns out one thing that Saeroyi was doing was going around putting up posters asking if it was a picture of Tony's dad and then a picture of Tony with his dad when he was a little boy, if he was seen. And it turns out you can't do that in Korea. You just can't put up missing.
At least not in that area.
Yeah, maybe because it's a business area or something.
It's illegal to put up.
You need a permit to put up flyers.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, you run a business. How don't you?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was just that area.
Yeah.
If that's an actual law, it might be more common knowledge.
He ends up having to pay almost what would be $100 in US dollars.
And so, because when there was the scene of them bringing in the flyers and the old woman sees it and you can tell she recognizes the man on the flyers.
Right.
And then those police officers came in and I was like, oh my god, is this where we find out they're like, excuse me, this is a wanted fugitive man?
Oh yeah, you did say
I was like, oh my god, what's happening?
Because last podcast we were saying that it's like, it just sounds sketchy. Like, I was like, I hope he's not like a fugitive or dead or just something like he was a criminal.
Some deadbeat dad.
Has like a whole new family. Just expecting it to be terrible. So yeah, sure, why not have him running from the law? But no, in the hospital, she tells them that
her son wanted to marry a black woman.
And it's interesting because she was saying how he was a doting son and he always did whatever she wanted and whatever she wanted of him. And her guilt was that, you know, the one time he told me what he wanted for himself, I shunned him. Mm-hmm. And she was like, he must have been so ashamed. And
he must have hated me. But he didn't.
Right. And he's dead, though.
Yeah.
Which...
car accident.
I was like, Jesus Christ. And I mean, that would explain why, like, she had no way to contact his wife and son.
Can I tell you the wild theory I had before we found out that was her son? I never got to say it. But it was when she recognized the man in the poster, I was like... And then, so she recognized the man in the poster first. And then she ran into the guy who was planning on killing himself. So I was like, is that Tony's dad? I thought she recognized him. So she's like, oh my god. This black kid's father has another kid that he can't even see. That's what it was. And she was like, oh my god. Because I was like thinking back to that scene where Tony saw her getting his money. And I'm like, did Tony like see his face? Was he like close enough to like see the man and recognize him? Yeah. So I'm like, it could be his father. And he just has another son.
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry, I had to read a message from Donnie. And so this doesn't happen till later, but I'll say it now.
I don't know, I just got done telling you my theory. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, I was distracted by that. So that the guy who was going to kill himself was her son?
Not her son.
Oh, but the guy in the... Okay.
I thought that was Tony's dad.
Okay. And she was like...
She was all freaking out because she's like, how am I supposed to keep this knowledge to myself?
He's looking for you and you're a piece of shit. No, that's deep, Kaylee. But I'm glad we went back to this because that I didn't move on because we just didn't see this coming. And the Washington Post article, which is oddly enough what the message from your dad was about, that I paused the podcast to read. So what it was Lance Riddick, he's a famous actor, he posted about an ad that he saw while reading an article in the Washington Post. And he took a screenshot of it, and it's a silly little ad, but it was funny. And your dad was like, wouldn't it be funny if he was reading the article you're in? But the picture of the tweet didn't show up. So it was just that message from your dad. So I was like, who was reading what? What are you talking about? So anyway, but in that article, or for that article, when I was explaining what I love about K-dramas, it's, again, every character matters. Mm-hmm. Like, I really just thought she was going to be the neighborhood loan shark lady who has a special relationship with the black kid. No, it was way deeper than that. But
and
later,
even after we found out she was his grandmother, it went even further than that. Oh, she's also this
Brazilian, yes.
Like, oh, okay, they're just throwing curveballs at us.
It was so like out of like left field, that part of it, because even like, but before that, I remember I'd asked, I was like, how much money does she have?
That
like,
she's able to,
that she's doing this, yeah. But like. Then the way they revealed it to us was the person getting out of this car, and I'm like, and at one point, like, we looked at each other and we were like, who could it be? And I said, it's gonna be somebody we know because they won't show the face.
Yeah, like I was.
So
like,
I was trying to think about every woman, Miss Kong. I was like, who could it be?
I was like, I feel like they wouldn't introduce a new character this late in the
show. And sure enough, it was her looking all different. Okay, so they cheated in the second round because Osua found out what the task was, the theme, the secret ingredient or whatever it was going to be, and told their chef ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And Geun-soo witnesses that. And he's kind of like clutching his pearls at it a little bit, but not too much. Like, it kind of felt like it was one of those, the old Geun-soo is still in. And he's like, that's not how you do things, that type of thing. But they still win, right? Thumbin wins the second round as well. Then, oh my God. So they're going to celebrate, and they run into Osua and Geun-soo, and they basically invite themselves along, or he invites them to go. Saeroyi invites them to drink with them, and Osua's like, okay, and she like loops her arm through Saeroyi's arm, and they walk off. And it's just Yi-sao and Hyun-yi standing there, and I looked at you, I paused. I told you pause it, and I was like, I would have ruined everybody's night. I'd have been like, no, we're not doing this. So I was super happy when she later goes skipping between them and just like, boom, like
drops her hands between them.
It's like, he's mine. I was like, yes. It's like, that's what you should have did immediately. But when they go out to drink, they play Truth or Dare and like spin the bottle of Truth or Dare, and obviously with alcohol. And Geun-soo is a bit of an asshole here. Mm-hmm. And he asks pointed questions and basically gets Saeroyi to say very plainly that he likes Osua, he's literally sitting between Osua and Yi-sao. Mm-hmm. And he gets him to say that he likes her, but that he's never had feelings for Yi-sao. That they are partners and friends, and that's it. This was terrible, because she starts to cry. And they did it in a way like she didn't even realize she was crying. Yeah. And we've never really seen her be emotional like that.
Not true.
Have we? Like, break down and cry?
Yeah, she was crying in Saeroyi's lap when she saw his scar.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That was the first time we saw her really cry, I think.
And she rushes out, and he chases her at... Who urges him? Oh! Yes, because Geun-soo is like, if you're not going to ever be with her, don't give her false hope, and going after her is going to give her false hope. And Hyun-yi is like, mind your business. Mm-hmm. So he does, and she confesses that she loves him, and he responds with what every person wants to hear after they pour out their feelings. Don't like me. Then he was like, I'm sorry. Then he was like, I'm old. Like, he had reason after reason after reason.
We work together.
Yeah. And she runs off and starts crying in the street. Okay, so, she breaks down crying in the street, and, like, the way they shot this scene, we were like, she's going to get hit by a car. Like, at first, because she's walking, we thought she was going to get hit walking in the street. But she's, like, in a divider of, like, a four-lane highway, yeah. And so then in the next episode, she's consoled by Hyun-yi, who... You know what's interesting? The way they're playing it is that Hyun-yi thinks that he does have feelings for her. Mm-hmm. And that he just doesn't see it. Yeah. So, because to me, when you have her basically... When she's like, he said you're to the age gap and this and this. She listed all the things that he had said, and she was like, you talk to him, but she didn't. It's like she just knows the type of person he is, like, and what he would have said. So I don't know, between that and then the conversation they had later in the end of this episode, it's showing you just how close they are. So I would believe that do you know, because it's not like she's just an employee. Like, we all know they have background with him, but even though they refuse to give us that flashback.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
Because I'm just so curious. Like,
the other guy got one.
Yeah, I'm just so curious to see how they met. But anyway, that's how it plays to me. But maybe I'm just being hopeful because I ship it.
I think she sees potential. Because, like, that scene that happens much later on, and they're on the phone, she's in Jeju Island. She's like, okay, I love you. See you in your dreams tonight. And the look on his face as he hangs up, he looks all confused.
Yeah.
He don't know what to do with himself.
That's true.
I'm like, oh, this is where it starts.
Oh, and then for him, like, the other thing, because I forgot this, because this happens in the Truth or Dare. Like, he says he's never kissed a woman before.
She knows. That's quite true.
It's like, I sexually assaulted you. You just don't know it. You are unconscious. But,
I think she was all giddy because she didn't know that was his first kiss.
Yeah.
And she's like, ooh, I took his first kiss.
Apparently he's a virgin, too, right? Hers interesting because, like... I forgot what I was going to say because the dog put his butt in my face and I was just distracted. Okay, so Geun-soo, the father's pissed again because they done lost 2-3 rounds already. So Geun-soo's like, put me in, coach. Put me in charge. Because he tried a little, like, abrasive, tough management on the cook when they lost that second time. And Osua was, like, kind of, pulling his reins a little bit, like, no.
But then afterwards, she was like, nah, you did the right thing.
Yeah. So it's just interesting that he's like, put me in charge. And he basically bets his inheritance or his place within this company and on this thing. Like, if you don't win this competition. So they both, now that I think about it, I'm glad we're talking about this, like, right away. They both have a lot riding on who wins this competition. Because that's his job if he doesn't, right? Please don't throw up while I'm on the podcast, dogs. So we learned that Yisao's on a break after being embarrassed like she was and rejected.
He basically forces her to take time off, I think.
Yeah.
She's like, I can...
Well, no, this was advised by Hyun-hee first in the conversation. Because I remember, look, advised by, and then I put an arrow back. Because they showed it to us, like, in flashback. Like, when, like, that, and then her talking to him. Yeah. I think it was one of those things where she maybe wanted him to, like, not want her to go. The same thing, like, with Geun-soo. Yeah. Like, I want you to say, don't go. So then, Geun-won calls his dad from prison, and he's crying. First of all, why does this man have an iPhone 2? Why does he have that old iPhone? What year did this come out? But yeah, he calls from prison, and I don't know really what he wants. Did he want to know why his dad did it? Like, did he want to hear his dad say he was sorry? What was this?
I don't know. I don't know.
He didn't get what he wanted because his dad was like, I did it for the company.
And then he hung up.
And what I don't think I explained it well, but I think it's interesting that, like, a big part of Geun-won's identity is that company. His father owns this company. It will one day be his company, and it's a big part, again, his identity, his personality. And then the father is, like, the same way, in a sense, like, the way he feels about the company, but he was willing to mean it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was like, I did it for the company, and then hung up on him. Mm-hmm. And for the son to hear that, and it's like, now you have nothing. You know, you've lost your father, and you don't even have, Miko, stop, your freedom, and now you don't have access to this, because I'm assuming, like, this is him being financially cut off, right?
Yeah. He also seems to be under the impression that he's going to be out of prison soon. He said that.
Yeah, or I don't know if that was like...
He said, I'm going to be out of here soon, or something. He said that to Ursula.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like...
True.
Yeah, I felt like that was...
I think it's just him thinking.
He does, like, the airs that he puts on, especially when it comes to her. Like, she can literally, in their last conversation, say, I don't like you, don't hit on me. And then the next time they talk, he's like, oh, check out my car, this, you know. And she's like, again. So it doesn't surprise me that he still thinks that's the way he should open a conversation with her. Okay, so it is Geun-soo, I believe, who tells his dad that Saeroyi's success and this momentum is because he has wings. And I was like, chicken wings? I was like, did he make buffalo? Did they put wings on the menu? What is he saying? And you were like, no, metaphorically, wings. I was like, oh, like BTS. Wings to fly. Okay, get it. So the investors start to pull out. Now, this is what's interesting, because the way this plays, it plays like his son saying he has wings, and then him realizing, oh, that's right, he has all of these investors, I'll get them to pull out. He's like, it played like it came to him then. Because remember when I had you rewind it, and I was like, what did he say? And all he did was repeat wings. But later, he says he planted the guy from the very beginning.
Yeah, because I feel like when the guy comes in, that's like immediately after that conversation. Do you remember?
No, not yet, because the investors start pulling out. We start getting the phone calls.
I'm saying that scene happened, but then when the main investor, the big guy, came into that room where John was, that's immediately after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just played stuff out of order first.
Yeah. Okay. So as it always does. And so while the people who, because of this funding, took their money, their life savings, and came into the, bought into the franchise. So sure, I'll open up a Danban. They're pissed, and they're yelling at the staff and Saeroyi. And here comes Osuwa carrying a plant. And I love how we saw that plant several times, and they didn't bother to translate the text on the ribbon until Saeroyi saw it. And it said,
you wrote it down?
Yes. Know your place and be satisfied with what you have. I literally gasped because she was there for so long that I remember when they showed her standing outside the building and she takes a deep breath and she's looking at the plant. I was like, where the fuck is she? Where is she going? Like, the whole time she's standing there, I'm like, what was the plant about? So for them to reveal that it was this petty motherfucker, the layers, that he made her do it. Mm-hmm. And he keeps making her be the one to do shit like this. Like, it was her who told his son that he had to. So he could have sent Mr. Kim for that. Anyway, but I do love this. Geun-soo calls his dad out. Mm-hmm. He was like, he's nothing, but yet you do all of this. You arrange to have the investor come in and then pull out, and again, it's like, that's power in itself, that he gets you to act like this. Mm-hmm. They never really showed us what came from that, right?
I don't think so.
So, after the investor meeting, it's Saeroyi and Osuwa, and they're standing outside, and she asks him to stop this now. and just come away with her and let's go be happy. And at the same time,
I knew right away that that's not gonna work. Like, I mean, like, why would it? Like, the show would just end at that point.
True. But at that moment, Yi-sao calls him because they haven't spoken since she said she was leaving. Because she gets the notifications that the investors are pulling out.
She has a suitcase and she's walking through an airport.
Literally walking through the airport.
Like, she's got to go on vacation. She
had a big puffy coat on. I was like, where are you going, sis? You going skiing? She calls him right before he can answer Osua. And she apologizes because she really, we didn't talk about this, but she pushed for this franchising. Mm-hmm. He wanted to wait. He didn't trust the investor, but he had Ho-jin look into him. And Ho-jin was like, he's on up and up. But he was like, let's just open one other place and see how that goes. Let's do one at a time. And she was like, why when we can? Because Homegirl had a binder with like, she was ready. She had already come up with a plan to open another location. She was like, here's the Bible. We just need to do this at every location. So she apologizes for pushing him. But he was like, no, I made the final decision. Even though he did say, I trust you. So if you're so confident this is the right thing to do, this is what we'll do. He takes responsibility because ultimately, he's the boss. But through this, he's talking to Yi-sao, but Osua is standing there, and he tells Yi-sao he's never going to stop until Junko is destroyed. And only then can he be happy. And this, like, devastates Osua to the point where she just, like, drops her knees.
It's crying.
It's like, well, man, he had 2 women drop to their knees, start bawling in 2 episodes back to back. So, yeah, this is where we learned that Mrs. Kim is a baller, and she shows up at Jung's office, and she's like, nigga, you is old. What is you doing?
Why are you bullying the kid?
She's like, is this how you want to spend your golden years? Your twilight years?
He said something like, this is my last purpose in life. Or
yes.
Something super dramatic. I'm like, what? I mean, we knew that, but for you to just say it?
Pride will do it to you every goddamn time. And she was like, okay.
And it's so funny because he was going on and on about how pride will get you nowhere to Saeroyi in the beginning of the show.
And this is choking his ass and he don't even see it. But she explains that she has to take a chance on Nico, stop. She has to take a chance on Saeroyi because she's indebted to him. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So then we had to question this because it feels like Geun-soo is just here for chaos.
I loved it when he said this because I was like, you have a point. He's just
because
we don't know what his motives are.
No, because the reason, like, I asked you this, like, I asked you to pause the episode and everything, was because as I was taking my notes, I realized every scene he was in, like, I would come away thinking, okay, I need to ask Kaylee what she thinks about that. What was the point? Because I don't 100, like, do we believe him? Like, and I was like, well, fuck every scene. Because then he kind of, like, slithers up to Osua. And he's like, you get out of my face. Yeah, I just don't, I don't know what he's going for. I think in this conversation is when he tells her that Saeroyi and his father are the exact same. And so it was kind of like he was warning her, like, I don't know. And honestly, at this point, I'm like, he really hasn't done anything to try to fuck with Saeroyi. So maybe, I was like, is he trying to take this company down from the inside, Mm-hmm. But no, but then he does something terrible. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, he ain't, yeah. So Mrs. Kim basically wants Saeroyi to swallow his pride and ask for the investment. But he feels like he would be using Toni in a sense, because he knows she's grateful for connecting them, that she would just be doing that, and he's prideful. Mm-hmm. And so it turns out, just the way Mrs. Kang was Osua's mentor, Mrs. Kim was Mrs. Kang's mentor. When she introduced her. Remember when she shows up with her? And all of them, all the women, Yi Sao, Mrs. Kang, Mrs. Kim, they're like, Miss Kang, excuse me. Just ask. And he can't bring himself to do it. And she points out, your staff is suffering. And yet you can't swallow your pride to do this. And then Miss Kang says, freedom isn't free. Literally, in English. Freedom isn't free. Yeah. Like, come on. So I like that. I like that a lot. That they know each other. And that they're going to be, fingers crossed, the cause of that man's downfall. So then, I have in my notes, is Geun-soo going to out her as trans?
And you came to that conclusion before I did.
Way before you did.
I was like, because I didn't want to believe it.
Because the way he does it is, he slithers up to Osuwa and he's like, look, he's looking over all the press about Damban's wins in the
competition.
Yes. And he's like, I think, and she's the face of it, right?
She's a pretty young girl.
Yeah.
It's just a popularity.
Like the audience wants her to win or whatever. Which then I started getting worried that it was like viewers vote, but I was like, that's stupid because people have to taste the food if they have judges
it's
there.
It's the judges, but they know,
right? Exactly.
That people like her, so
right.
they pick her as the winner.
Exactly. So he floats that, and then I immediately, that's when I wrote in my notes, is he going to out her as trans? Because that's just what I thought. And I was like, please don't do that. And then later you were like, because I was freaking out. Like another scene started and I couldn't let it go because I was like, please don't. Because I didn't want him to turn out to be an asshole.
Because you made me rewind it, I think, and you're like, Kaylee. You were like, Kaylee, don't you dare root for this man after he does this. And I'm like, does what? What are you talking about?
You were clueless. And I was like, this is what he's going to do. And you were like, no, I think what he's going to do is have Osuwa represent them. Like, have
another
the
pretty
chef,
young girl.
Yes, the chef tell her what to do, and then have her do it right. And I was like, I guess. Because I just didn't want it to be true. So I was like, okay, that's a possibility.
But it wasn't that.
But it wasn't. Yi Sao ends up going out to Jeju-do where Mrs. Kim has a vacation home. That's the kind of rich she is. We thought she was just harmony living in a basement. No. She has a vacation home on Jeju-do. And Yi Sao goes out there. So she's there when Saeroyi calls. And she says that she will invest, but he has to win the competition. So when he shows up with Hyunyi for the show, everybody knows that she's a trans woman because Geun-soo leaked it to the press. And she runs off. And a lot of great things happen. He catches up to her and tells her, like, it's okay to run away, like, if you want to.
And then later he was like, you're not even running away because you did nothing wrong.
Right. Exactly. So he prepares himself. He's willing to go and cook in her place, like, if she doesn't come out. Then we have this scare where they make you think, oh my god, why can't I remember Homeboy's name, that he's transphobic. When Toni arrives, because Toni is
something.
Oh my god, I keep freaking...
It starts with a W. I don't know.
Because
I remember Toni said his name.
Yeah. So Toni is like, he shows up. He's like, I'm here to support her. What do you think? Like, we have to... And he's like, she ran away. And he goes, if you're born...
A boy,
you should live as a boy. If you're born a girl, you should live as a girl.
He's like, that's just,
and that goes against like the law of nature.
He
right?
said that's just something nature.
The nature of things.
And then he's like, but he goes against
that. Right. And we were like, what?
And we were like, what?
Don't make us hate you too.
You're supposed to be in love with her. What's going on?
It's like there are way too many villains. this episode. But his point was that that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. And that she would not. She's not going to, like...
Don't underestimate her.
Don't underestimate her. She's not going to run away. And then it's not until Yisao calls her... Yisao? She calls her from Jeju-do, and she reads her this poem. And it's I'm a Diamond. I like it because you can see it like on the cover in the English before they even begin talking. And we see that is what motivates her to go out there and announce that she's a transgender woman. Although I really need them to, and they're trying, it's not a transgender. You're not a transgender. You're just transgender. Yeah. Or trans. Or a trans woman. Mm-hmm. Like you would put that before the noun. A transgender woman. A transgender man. Because those are nouns. But transgender is not a noun.
It's an adjective.
Right. So.
But, do you remember she said I'm going to read this poem to you because I'm a
bitch. Okay, Lee. You're 23 years old.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. You can't make me.
Yeah. And then that's how it ends, and I really want to watch the next episode, but I'm sure Kaylee's going to say no.
I'm tired.
I know, whatever. Anyway, so that's it. I'm so excited. These are like, the next 2 episodes are basically the penultimate episodes for us, because it's like the last time we do it before the finale. Mm-hmm. And so much stuff can happen. Like,
there could be another time skip for all I know.
Yeah, because she had a plan, like, because we were still, like, kind of foggy on if we're at that 15-year mark, because we don't know anything about a therapist. We talked about that. Like, we met...
She had a therapist in the beginning.
Right, we met...
Esau
with her therapist, and then, like, it clicked for us, like, it feels like she's telling his story, like, she's the narrator, because we couldn't think of another time we've been in anyone else's head. Mm-hmm. And she seems to be talking about this from the future. Mm-hmm. Like when she was about to say that I love you. She was like...
We can hear her thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just... Yeah. And so for her to say something about... She had a 2-year plan, remember? Mm-hmm. And then she's like, plan B. So I feel like there could be another time jump. But it's just interesting to me that, like, they both have so much writing on it, and that's why I can't call who's going to win. Because I feel like Saeroyi needs this investment from Mrs. Kim. But that's not going to happen without him winning that thing.
I feel like she probably still will invest in them even if they lose it.
But
like, even if they get second place.
Okay, so, but you don't think... Because, alright, my only thing with that was, like, would he go back to, like, being prideful and be like, no, you said that I had to win and I didn't earn it. I hope not, because I'll be over
going to tell him to shut up and just take the money.
Yes. But I also... Yeah, because I don't see Geun-soo getting fired just yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless he just stops now and goes back and apologizes to his friends.
I think she's gonna win. That's my prediction.
Who?
Me.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking Osuwa, like she was gonna be up there too. I forgot that was not what you had me convinced that was just canon at this point. So I was like, ooh, which one is gonna win? Yes. I hope so. Alright, so that's it, you guys. We will talk to you next week with episodes 13 and 14 of Itaewon class. Thanks for listening.